Chosen one, pause for a moment and listen with more than your ears, because this is not ordinary information passing through time. This is a moment pressing against your spirit, knocking with urgency, refusing to be ignored. There is a reason your heart feels restless right now, a reason your mind keeps circling back to something you can't fully explain. You were not brought here by accident, not by coincidence, not by some random scroll through space and time. You are here because something has been set in motion, and heaven itself is leaning forward. 2 archangels have been released with an assignment that carries weight, consequence, and urgency, and they have only 9 minutes to reach you. 9 minutes is not symbolic comfort. It is not poetic exaggeration. It is a window, a narrow opening, a final opportunity for alignment before something shifts permanently. You've been sensing it for a while, haven't you? That subtle pressure in your chest, that inner nudge telling you that delay is no longer an option. You've tried to rationalize it, to explain it away as stress or imagination, but deep down you know better. You know that when heaven moves, it does not shout through noise. It whispers through awareness. And right now, that whisper is becoming impossible to ignore. There are moments when destiny leans so close that even your doubts can feel its breath. And this is one of those moments. The door you are standing before has not always been open, and once it closes, it does not reopen in the same way. You've survived things that should have broken you. You've walked through seasons where silence felt louder than answers, where prayers seemed to echo back unanswered. But what you didn't realize was that every delay was building capacity. Every waiting season was sharpening your discernment. Every disappointment was teaching you how to recognize the real thing when it finally arrived. You were being trained to respond quickly, because what is coming to you now does not allow for hesitation. The archangels moving toward you are not coming to beg, to persuade, or to chase. They are coming to deliver, to activate, and to confirm, but they will not force what must be received willingly. There is a misconception that divine help arrives slowly, gently, with endless patience. But there are moments when heaven operates with urgency because the cost of delay becomes too great. This is one of those moments. 9 minutes represents a threshold, a line between what was and what will be. It represents the last chance to say yes to something that has already been prepared, already been approved, already been positioned in your future. What happens next depends on whether you recognize the weight of this moment or let it pass like so many others. You are not being asked to be perfect. You are not being asked to have everything figured out. You are being asked to be present, to be willing, to be aware. Awareness is the currency of this moment. Distraction is the enemy. That's why everything around you has been trying to pull your attention away, flood your senses, exhaust your focus. The more important the message, the greater the resistance around it. But you are still here, still listening, still breathing, still feeling that pull in your spirit that says this matters more than you realize. These archangels are not coming because you earned it through flawless behavior. They're coming because you were marked long before you understood what that meant. There has always been something different about you, something that made you feel slightly out of place, even in rooms where you belonged. You've often felt like you were waiting for instructions that never fully arrived, like your life was paused at the edge of something big. That wasn't confusion, that was preparation. That was heaven holding you back until the timing aligned, until the conditions were right, until you were strong enough to handle what would be released. Right now, time feels strange because it is bending around this assignment. 9 minutes can feel like an eternity or like a blink, depending on whether you are present or distracted. Heaven measures time differently, not by clocks, but by readiness. The question is not whether the archangels will reach you. The question is whether you will be receptive when they do. Receptivity is not passive. It requires courage to stop running, courage to stop doubting, courage to stop telling yourself that this is for someone else. You've spent years shrinking your expectations to protect yourself from disappointment. You learned how to settle, how to accept almost instead of abundance, how to survive instead of step fully into purpose. But survival was never the end goal. Survival was the training ground, and now the training is ending. What comes next demands a different posture, a lifted gaze, a heart willing to trust again even after being disappointed before. There is a reason this feels like a last chance. It's not because heaven is cruel or impatient, but because cycles close, seasons end, opportunities move. When a door closes, it's not punishment, it's progression, but progression requires movement. Standing still is still a choice, and choices have consequences. The archangels approaching you carry clarity, direction, and protection, but they do not override free will. They offer alignment, not control. You may feel unworthy, you may feel unprepared, you may feel afraid of what saying yes could cost you, but ask yourself what saying no has already cost you? How many moments have slipped by because you waited to feel ready? How many times have you felt the nudge and ignored it, only to look back later and realize what it was trying to do for you? This moment is different because the nudge is stronger, clearer, more urgent than ever before. Your spirit recognizes this frequency because it has been tuned to it through struggle, through waiting, through endurance. That's why your heart is beating a little faster right now. That's why your thoughts feel focused, narrowed, sharpened. You are not imagining this. Something is aligning, something is converging, something is about to be placed within reach, and it requires a response that comes not from fear, but from faith. 9 minutes is not about pressure, it's about presence. It's about choosing to be fully here, fully aware, fully open. When heaven moves quickly, it's because the window is narrow and the impact is great. You are standing at the intersection of preparation and promise. Everything you have walked through up to this point has been leading here to this pause, this breath, this decision. You don't need to understand everything that will follow. Understanding often comes after obedience. What matters now is alignment. What matters now is whether you allow this moment to pass through you unchanged or whether you let it activate something that has been dormant for far too long. The archangels are not coming to bring chaos. They are coming to bring order, to bring structure to the calling that has felt scattered, to bring peace to the questions that have kept you awake at night. There is a calm available to you that you have not yet experienced, not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you finally step into flow instead of resistance. Resistance has been exhausting you, fighting the current, questioning every step, doubting every instinct. Flow feels different. Flow feels like effort without strain, movement without fear, obedience without panic. As these minutes pass, let your guard down just enough to receive. You don't have to announce it to anyone. You don't have to explain it. Some shifts happen quietly, internally, invisibly before they ever show up in the external world. But once they happen, nothing feels the same again. The way you see yourself changes. The way you interpret obstacles changes. The way you recognize opportunity sharpens. This is not about being special in a way that elevates you above others. It's about being specific. Your assignment is specific, your timing is specific, your path is specific, and comparison has been one of the biggest tools used to keep you distracted from your own lane. What is meant for you cannot arrive while you are busy watching someone else's journey. Stay here, stay present, stay open. Let the noise fade just enough for you to sense what is approaching. Not with fear, not with anxiety, but with expectancy. Expectancy is faith in motion. It's the quiet confidence that says something is unfolding even if I can't see all of it yet. The archangels carry confirmation, but confirmation often comes in subtle ways. Through insight, through peace, through sudden clarity rather than dramatic display. Your job right now is not to rush, but not to retreat. It is to hold this moment with intention, to acknowledge that something significant is happening and that your response matters. You have been trusted with this awareness because you are capable of responding to it. Capability doesn't mean comfort, it means capacity. Your capacity has been stretched, expanded, and strengthened through everything you've endured. As these final moments of the window continue to unfold, you may feel a choice forming inside you, not loud, not dramatic, but steady and clear. A choice to step forward internally, to agree with what your spirit has been whispering for a long time, to release the need for guarantees and embrace the truth that some of the most important shifts begin with a simple, quiet yes that echoes forward into places you haven't reached yet. Places that are already prepared for you, waiting for the moment when you finally decide to move, to trust, to align, and to allow what has been moving toward you all along to finally make contact as the air around you feels charged with anticipation and the sense of timing grows sharper, urging you not to look back, not to second guess, but to remain right here as something unseen draws closer and closer, carrying with it the weight of change and the promise of what happens when you choose to respond before the door begins to close and the moment slips into memory instead of becoming the turning point it was always meant to be as your awareness deepens and your attention settles and the silence around you starts to feel full rather than empty, as if something is about to speak in a way you will recognize immediately, not with words but with a knowing that rises from within and continues to expand as you stay open to what is arriving now and what it is asking of you in this exact moment. As the rhythm of your breath slows and the sense of urgency sharpens into clarity, and you realize that this is not about rushing towards something outside of you, but about allowing something already aligned to meet you exactly where you are as the final stretch of this window continues to unfold and your spirit leans forward into the next movement without needing to see the full picture, yet only needing to stay receptive, attentive, and willing as the energy around this moment continues to build and the unseen draws nearer, preparing to deliver what has been held back until now, while you remain right here in the center of it all, listening, feeling, and ready to receive as the next shift begins to form, and the story prepares to move forward from this point without slowing down and without waiting for hesitation to catch up as everything converges toward the choice that is still unfolding right now. And as that choice continues to unfold inside you, it may not feel like fireworks or thunder. It may feel like a quiet settling, like something finally clicking into place after years of tension. That is often how real alignment begins, not with noise, but with relief. Relief that you no longer have to pretend you don't feel what you feel, that you don't know what you know. For a long time, you questioned your own discernment because it didn't match the pace or expectations of those around you. You learned to silence yourself, to downplay intuition, to explain away inner warnings and inner invitations alike. But now, that inner voice is not whispering anymore. It is steady, clear, persistent, asking you to trust it just enough to stay present through this moment. There is a reason urgency feels uncomfortable. Urgency exposes hesitation. It brings unresolved fears to the surface. It highlights where you've been relying on delay as a form of safety. When you wait, you don't have to risk being wrong. When you hesitate, you don't have to face what success might demand of you. But this moment does not allow hiding behind delay. It gently but firmly asks you to step into responsibility for your own awareness, not responsibility in a heavy, condemning sense, but responsibility as ownership. Ownership of your path, your timing, your respo. You may notice memories rising right now, moments from your past that suddenly make more sense, conversations that lingered, opportunities that almost happened, crossroads where you chose the familiar over the unknown. Those memories are not coming to shame you, they are coming to show you a pattern, to reveal how often you were closer than you realized. And each time, even when you stepped back, something within you learned, adapted, grew stronger. Nothing was wasted, not even the detours, especially not the detours. The archangels moving toward you are not unfamiliar with detours. They understand how long it can take for a human heart to trust what it cannot control. That is why this moment feels patient and urgent at the same time. Patient because you have been given time to grow, urgent because the growth has reached its threshold. When a vessel is full, it cannot receive more unless it is poured out into action. Awareness without movement becomes frustration. Insight without response becomes restlessness. You have felt that restlessness, that sense of being on the edge of something without knowing how to cross over. What is approaching you now is not meant to overwhelm you, even if it stretches you. Stretching is different from breaking. Stretching expands capacity. Breaking destroys structure. Heaven does not break what it intends to use. It stretches it, reinforces it, prepares it to hold more than it ever has before. That is why the pressure you feel is accompanied by an underlying steadiness, a sense that even though this is unfamiliar, it is not unsafe. There is a temptation in moments like this to look for external confirmation, a sign you can point to, a voice you can quote, a signal others will recognize. But some confirmations are meant to be internal first. They come as peace where there was anxiety, clarity where there was confusion, resolve W. Here there was hesitation. These confirmations do not shout for attention. They anchor you quietly so that when external shifts begin, you are not shaken by them. You are learning right now how to stand in a moment without rushing past it or shrinking away from it. That skill will matter more than you know in what follows. There will be times ahead when decisions must be made quickly, when opportunities appear suddenly, when doors open without warning. This moment is training your nervous system, your spirit, your awareness to respond rather than react, to recognize alignment rather than chase excitement. You may have believed for a long time that your sensitivity was a weakness, that feeling deeply, noticing subtle changes, picking up on unspoken tension made life harder for you. But sensitivity is not fragility, it is perception. And perception is essential for discernment. You are able to sense when something is off and when something is right, even if you can't always explain why. That ability is being activated now in a new way, refined, sharpened, steadied. As the sense of time continues to compress, you might feel an urge to do something, to fix something, to prepare something externally. But the preparation required right now is internal. It is the preparation of agreement. Agreement with the truth that you are not behind. Agreement with the truth that you are not forgotten. Agreement with the truth that what is meant for you does not require you to compete or rush or prove yourself. It requires you to align. Alignment does not mean ease, it means coherence. It means your thoughts, emotions, and actions begin to move in the same direction instead of pulling against each other. You have lived too long with internal conflict, wanting one thing but expecting another, hoping for growth but bracing for disappointment. That internal split has been draining you. Alignment begins to close that gap, bringing integrity back into your inner world. Notice how your breath responds when you consider trusting this moment. Does it deepen? Does it slow? That response matters. Your body often recognizes safety before your mind catches up. The mind is trained by past experiences, by outcomes that didn't match expectations. The body responds to present reality. And right now, your body is responding to the sense that something is resolving, something is settling, something is finally moving forward after a long period of suspension. You may feel grief alongside anticipation. Grief for the time you feel you lost, for the version of yourself that struggled without understanding why, for relationships that could not follow you into this next phase. That grief is valid. It does not negate the good that is coming. It honors what it cost you to get here. Grief and gratitude can coexist. So can fear and faith. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move with awareness despite it. The last chance aspect of this moment does not mean failure if you falter. It means finality of a particular cycle. Some lessons do not repeat indefinitely. Some opportunities change form if not received when first presented. That is not punishment. It is progression. Life moves forward. Spirit moves forward. What does not move eventually becomes misaligned. This is an invitation to move with what is moving, to flow instead of resist. You are not required to announce your choice to anyone else. This is not about external validation. It is about internal consent. Consent to be guided rather than driven by fear. Consent to release the narrative that says you are always late, always behind, always catching up. That narrative has been heavy on your shoulders for too long. It is not the truth of who you are. It is a story shaped by seasons that are ing. As this awareness deepens, you may begin to sense a subtle shift in how you perceive the near future. It may feel closer, clearer, more tangible. The fog that once surrounded your next steps begins to thin, not revealing everything, but revealing enough to take the next step without needing the entire map, enough to trust that the ground will meet your foot when you move forward. The Archangels' approach is not something you need to visualize or imagine in detail. Their presence is recognized through impact, through the way your internal state begins to reorganize itself. Confusion gives way to coherence. Fear gives way to focus. Doubt gives way to discernment. These shifts may feel subtle, but they are foundational. They change how you interpret what happens next. You may notice that distractions lose some of their pull right now. Things that once consumed your attention feel less urgent, less compelling. This is not detachment from life. It is reprioritization. When something real comes into focus, what is superficial naturally fades. This clarity will help you protect your energy going forward, making choices that support your alignment rather than drain it. You have been underestimated before, not just by others, but by yourself. You learn to lower expectations to avoid disappointment, but lowered expectations also lower engagement. They keep you half present, half committed, half alive. This moment invites full presence, full engagement. Not reckless action, but wholehearted attention. There is a strength rising in you that does not feel aggressive or forceful. It feels grounded, it feels calm, it feels like knowing who you are without needing to defend it. That strength has been forming quietly over time through consistency rather than spectacle. It is dependable, it is resilient, it will carry you through changes that once would have overwhelmed you. As the energy of this moment continues to build, you may sense that something is being clarified about your role, your contribution, your direction. Not in a grand dramatic revelation, but in a steady understanding of what matters and what does not. This clarity will simplify your decisions. It will reduce internal debate. It will help you say no without guilt and yes without hesitation. You are not being rushed into a decision you are unprepared for. You are being reminded of a decision you have already been preparing for without realizing it. Every experience you've had, every challenge you've faced, every season of waiting has been shaping your capacity to respond now. The timing is not random, it is precise. Stay with this awareness. Let it continue to unfold without forcing it into language or plans too quickly. Some things integrate best when given space. Trust that what is aligning now will express itself outwardly in time, in ways that feel natural rather than forced. Your task is not to control the outcome, but to remain receptive to the process. You may feel a renewed sense of responsibility toward yourself, a desire to honor your own growth by not returning to patterns that no longer fit. That desire is healthy. It signals respect for the journey you've taken. It does not require perfection. It requires honesty. Honesty about what drains you and what nourishes you. Honesty about what aligns and what distracts. As the minutes continue to pass, the atmosphere around you may feel subtly different, as if the space itself is listening. This is not imagination. Awareness changes perception. When you become fully present, the world responds differently. You notice more, you sense more, you engage more fully. That engagement will shape what unfolds next. You are closer than you think. Not just to a breakthrough, but to coherence, to living in a way that feels integrated rather than fragmented, to trusting your inner guidance without second-guessing every step. This moment is a threshold, not an endpoint. It marks a transition from preparation to participation, from waiting to responding. Allow yourself to stay here a little longer, not to cling, but to integrate. Let what is happening settle into your nervous system, your awareness, your sense of self. This integration will make the next steps feel less abrupt, less jarring. It will create continuity between who you have been and who you are becoming. The story is not ending here. It is shifting tone. The rhythm is changing. The pace is adjusting. You are moving from endurance to engagement, from holding on to stepping forward. And as this shift continues to take shape, you remain right in the center of it, aware, present, receptive, as what has been moving towards you reaches the point of contact and begins to influence what comes next, quietly at first, then with increasing clarity as you stay aligned with this moment and allow it to carry you forward into the unfolding that has already begun. And as that influence continues to settle into you, you may begin to notice how your perception of pressure changes. What once felt like weight now feels like direction. What once felt like confusion now feels like narrowing focus. This is how alignment often announces itself, not by removing all tension, but by giving tension purpose. You are no longer bracing against the unknown, you are orienting toward it. There is a difference, and your body knows it before your mind names it. For a long time, you lived as though you were waiting for permission. Permission to begin, permission to believe, permission to trust yourself. You watched others move forward and wondered what they knew that you didn't. What you couldn't see then is that your path required depth before emotion. You were being built from the inside out. The kind of responsibility tied to your assignment requires internal stability, not just enthusiasm. That stability has been forming quietly, layer by layer, through endurance, through patience, through learning how to stand when things did not make sense. You are starting to realize that not every delay was resistance. Some delays were protection. Some pauses were recalibration. Some closed doors were preventing you from entering spaces that would have drained you before you had the strength to remain whole within them. Now, as awareness sharpens, you can feel that the season of constant bracing is ending. You no longer need to be on guard against everything. Discernment is replacing defense. Discernment allows you to move forward without carrying unnecessary armor. There is a subtle courage emerging in you, not loud or dramatic, but consistent. It shows up as a willingness to stay present even when the outcome is not fully known. It shows up as a refusal to abandon yourself in moments of uncertainty. You are learning how to remain internally anchored while externally flexible. That balance is rare, and it is essential for what follows. As this moment continues to expand, you may find that certain fears lose their urgency. They do not vanish completely, but they no longer dominate your attention. Fear thrives on imagination without grounding. Presence weakens fear by anchoring you in what is actually happening rather than what might happen. Right now, what is actually happening is alignment, and alignment has a stabilizing effect. You are beginning to trust that you can handle what comes next, even if you don't yet know what it looks like. That trust is not based on optimism alone, it is based on evidence. Evidence of what you have already survived. Evidence of how you adapted when plans changed. Evidence of the resilience you developed without fully recognizing it. You are not starting from zero, you are starting from experience. This experience has taught you discernment in ways no instruction ever could. You learn to recognize patterns, to notice when something felt forced versus when it felt organic. You learn the cost of ignoring intuition and the relief of honoring it. These lessons were not random, they were foundational. They prepared you to respond accurately in moments like this, when subtlety matters as much as conviction. You may sense a growing clarity about what you can no longer tolerate, not out of bitterness, but out of respect for your own energy. Tolerance is not always virtue. Sometimes it is avoidance of confrontation or change. You're becoming more honest with yourself about what drains you and what sustains you. This honesty will guide your decisions more reliably than external advice ever could. As the internal landscape continues to reorganize, you might notice a shift in how you relate to silence. Silence no longer feels empty or threatening. It feels informative. It gives space for insight to surface. It allows you to hear the quieter signals that were previously drowned out by noise and urgency. Silence becomes an ally rather than something to escape. You are not being asked to withdraw from the world, but to engage with it differently. Engagement without overextension, commitment without self-erasure, contribution without depletion. These distinctions will matter greatly moving forward. They will help you sustain momentum without burning out, passion without collapse. There is also a release happening, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. A release of old expectations that were never yours to carry. A release of timelines imposed by comparison. A release of guilt for not becoming what others expected you to be by now. That GUI. LT has weighed heavily on you even when you pretended it didn't. Letting it go creates space for something truer to emerge. As space opens, intention fills it. Not forced intention, but aligned intention. You begin to feel drawn towards certain directions, certain ideas, certain possibilities without needing to justify them immediately. Attraction becomes a form of guidance. Not every attraction must be pursued, but noticing what draws your attention reveals where your energy naturally wants to flow. This flow is important. You have spent years swimming upstream, pushing against currents that were not meant for you. It taught you strength, but it also exhausted you. Flow does not mean passivity, it means cooperation. It means recognizing when effort multiplies results rather than diminishing them. You are learning to recognize that difference now. There may be moments ahead when you question whether this sense of alignment is real or imagined. That questioning is natural. The mind seeks familiarity, even when familiarity was uncomfortable. When you encounter that doubt, notice it without letting it steer. Doubt does not require elimination to lose influence. It requires perspective. Perspective comes from remembering that clarity does not always arrive fully formed. It develops, it sharpens, it deepens with use. Trust grows through application, not contemplation alone. You will not feel absolutely certain before moving. Certainty often follows action, not precedes it. As you remain present in this unfolding, you may find yourself less reactive to external chaos. Things that once triggered immediate anxiety now register differently. You pause before responding. You choose your engagement more carefully. This is not detachment, it is regulation. A regulated inner state allows for more effective action. You are also becoming more aware of your influence even when you are not trying to influence. Your presence carries weight because it is becoming more coherent. People may respond to you differently, sensing a steadiness that wasn't there before. This may feel unfamiliar at first. Allow it. Influence rooted in authenticity does not need to be managed or manipulated. It simply exists. As coherence increases, so does responsibility. Not responsibility as burden, but as stewardship. Stewardship of your attention, stewardship of your energy, stewardship of the insights you receive. You will be entrusted with opportunities to apply what you are integrating now. How you handle small moments will shape larger ones. There is an invitation here to simplify, to release unnecessary complexity that once felt necessary for survival. You do not need to over-explain yourself. You do not need to over-prepare for every possibility. You do not need to anticipate every reaction. Simplicity frees energy for what actually matters. You may also feel a renewed connection to hope, but not the fragile kind that depends on ideal outcomes. This hope is grounded. It acknowledges uncertainty without being consumed by it. It allows you to envision a future without demanding guarantees. That kind of hope is resilient. It adapts rather than collapses. As this internal realignment continues, your relationship with time may shift. You may feel less rushed, even when moving quickly, less pressured, even when decisions are required. This is because urgency is no longer coming from fear, but from clarity. Clarity streamlines action. You are beginning to understand that readiness is not about eliminating fear, but about trusting your ability to navigate it. Fear does not disqualify you, it informs you. It highlights edges that matter. When acknowledged without control, it becomes data rather than obstacle. This moment is teaching you how to listen differently, not just to words or thoughts, but to signals, to subtle cues in your body, your environment, your reactions. Listening at this level requires presence. It cannot be rushed. It cannot be outsourced. It is cultivated through attention. As attention deepens, gratitude may surface unexpectedly. Gratitude not just for what is coming, but for what shaped you. Even the difficult seasons begin to feel purposeful in retrospect. This does not erase pain, it integrates it. Integration turns experience into wisdom. Wisdom changes how you move. It slows impulsive reactions and strengthens deliberate choices. It allows you to say no without resentment and yes without self-betrayal. Wisdom grows quietly, but its impact is lasting. You are also learning how to remain open without becoming porous. Open enough to receive, grounded enough to stay intact. This balance will protect you as your path unfolds. Not everything that approaches you will be aligned, even if it appears attractive. Discernment will help you choose depth over distraction. As the internal atmosphere steadies, you may feel a subtle excitement building. Not adrenaline, but anticipation. Anticipation rooted in alignment rather than fantasy. This anticipation energizes without agitating. It motivates without pressuring. It sustains rather than consumes. You are standing at a point where internal agreement is becoming external movement. This transition may feel gradual or sudden, depending on how you respond to it. There is no single correct pace. What matters is coherence, movement that matches internal readiness. You may notice that your questions change. Instead of asking why things happen, you begin asking how to move forward with what you now understand. This shift marks a turning point. It signals acceptance of responsibility for your next steps without self-blame for past ones. As acceptance settles in, compassion for yourself deepens. You see your past choices through a more generous lens. You recognize the constraints you were under, the information you lacked, the strength it took just to keep going. This compassion frees energy that was tied up in self-criticism. Freed energy becomes available for creativity, for problem solving, for connection. You may find new ideas emerging, new ways of approaching old challenges. These ideas feel less forced, more organic. They arise from alignment rather than urgency. Connection also begins to shift. You may feel drawn toward different conversations, different collaborations, different environments. This is not rejection of the old, but resonance with the new. Resonance guides you towards spaces where your energy is met rather than drained. As this continues, trust becomes less about belief and more about practice. You trust by showing up. You trust by responding honestly. You trust by staying present even when outcomes are uncertain. Trust becomes embodied rather than conceptual. The rhythm of your life begins to adjust accordingly. Periods of action alternate more naturally with periods of rest. Rest no longer feels like avoidance. It feels like integration. Integration strengthens capacity for future action. You are learning that you do not have to be constantly productive to be purposeful. Purpose expresses itself in presence as much as in output. Some of the most important shifts happen beneath the surface, invisible but foundational. As this awareness deepens further, you may sense that the story you tell yourself about who you are is evolving. Old labels feel restrictive. New language begins to form. This language reflects growth rather than limitation. It shapes how you see possibilities. Possibilities begin to feel less abstract and more accessible, not because everything is resolved, but because you trust your ability to respond as things unfold. Response replaces anticipation. Engagement replaces avoidance. You are not stepping into certainty, you are stepping into capability. Capability grounded in experience, awareness, and alignment. This capability does not need external validation to function. It operates from internal coherence. As the moment continues to unfold, you remain within it, not rushing ahead, not looking back, allowing the next phase to take shape through presence rather than pressure, through receptivity rather than resistance, as the energy that has been gathering finds expression in the way you think, the way you choose, the way you remain steady, within change. And the unfolding continues forward from here without pause, without conclusion, carrying you deeper into the movement that has already begun and continues to expand as you stay aligned with it now. Chosen one, let this be the moment you stop doubting what your spirit has been recognizing all along. You were never late, never forgotten, never overlooked. You were being positioned with precision. What has unfolded within you during this time is not temporary emotion, it is permanent alignment. Carry this awareness forward, not as pressure, but as permission to live awake, intentional, and responsive to what is placed before you. You do not need to force what is next. You only need to remain faithful to what has been activated within you now. Walk forward with clarity, guarded peace, and quiet confidence, knowing that what has reached you has done so at the exact moment you were capable of receiving it, and from this point on, your steps will no longer feel random, but ordered, grounded, and unmistakably aligned with the path that has been waiting for you to finally move.